Discover the heartwarming journey of a cleaner, how 12 incredible hours changed her life forever. Maria was invisible. A hard-working cleaner in a quaint suburban town, at 32 years old, she poured her heart into scrubbing floors and dusting shelves while raising her 2 young children alone. Day after day, she faced the brick wall of economic inequality, the weight of her struggle pressing down like the worn-off soles of her shoes. This town glittered with success and material wealth, yet Maria remained in the background, unrecognized and unheard, a silent force keeping the community polished and bright. But she clung to the dignity of her work like a lifeline, dreaming of a brighter future for her kids, one where they wouldn't feel the pang of judgment for having a mother who worked tirelessly just to make ends meet. Then one fateful day, her elderly neighbor, Mr. Thompson, a retired war veteran, fell. The frantic phone call came just as Maria was tidying up after her morning shift. Without a second thought, she dropped everything to help. For the next 12 hours, she transformed from the invisible cleaner to a beacon of hope. His cozy living room, adorned with medals of valor and family photos filled with love, echoed with laughter and stories. They shared warm cups of tea, and as they spoke, she learned about his sacrifices, about courage that went beyond any battlefield. "You're strong, Maria. Your work matters," Mr. Thompson said, his eyes glistening with gratitude as he recalled his own hardships. Maria felt something shift within her, his appreciation sparked an inner fire, illuminating her morning spent unacknowledged. But as the community rallied around Mr. Thompson with BBQs and stories of shared courage, she faced another battle. Her estranged mother knocked on the door, seeking forgiveness after years of absence. Memories of hurt flooded in, mixing with her newfound purpose. As tensions brewed in their reunion, Maria found herself torn. She wanted to prove she could do more than clean. She longed for ambition, for dreams unbound by the chains of her past. But the return of her mother stirred deep emotions, complicating her desire for a bright future. At a community meeting, someone dismissed hard-working people like her with a wave of the hand. Maria's chest tightened, anger bubbling up. Adrenaline surged as she stood before the crowd, heart pounding. "We're not just laborers. Our contributions deserve respect," she shouted, sending a ripple through the room. For the first time, she owned her space. "Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue." Her voice resonated, igniting sparks of determination in others. But despite the community's newfound awareness, that familiar shadow lingered. Her mother's presence loomed heavier than ever, a reminder of unresolved feelings. Maria was at a precipice, balancing the hope of change against the weight of her past. Could she really embrace this new identity while reconciling her heartache? The answer danced at the edge of her reach, much like the unfulfilled dreams she had for her children. As she gazed toward the door, the air thick with uncertainty, Maria knew this was just the beginning. The journey ahead held a promise greater than herself, one that would redefine the very essence of chasing the American dream. With the town bustling around her, Maria walked home that evening, her mind a whirlwind of thoughts. The community meeting had stirred something deep within her, a mix of pride and vulnerability. She felt buoyed by her voice rising above the murmurs, but the sight of her mother's tear-filled eyes haunted her. As she entered her small apartment, the familiar scent of the evening meal lingered. Maria glanced at the family photos hanging on the walls, moments frozen in time when laughter flowed freely, and worries felt far away. But today, those images felt tainted by the shadows of her mother's absence and the lingering uncertainties of the future. "Mommy," her kids squealed, rushing to her with arms wide open. Their joy splashed through her thoughts, breaking the heavy fog. She knelt down, embracing them both tightly, feeling their warmth seep into her skin. "I missed you," she whispered, reminding herself of the dreams she held for them. Later that night, as the kids settled down for bed, Maria made tea and sat by the window. The moonlight cast a soft glow, illuminating her troubled face. Dropping her hands in her lap, she closed her eyes and reflected on every painful word exchanged with her mother. They were meant to find understanding, but anger and grief had muddled the night. Regret lingered like a bitter taste at the back of her throat. Suddenly, her phone buzzed. A notification from her community group flickered to life. "Let's meet at the park tomorrow at 5 p.m. to discuss ways we can support one another," it read. A surge of determination spread through her. Maybe it was time to push the past behind her to convert hurt into motivation. The next day rolled in, tinted with hope. Maria put on her best scrubbed uniform, not just for work, but to reclaim her identity as a strong woman in her community. She prepared a few snacks for the meeting, wanting to contribute but also sensing that perhaps they would nourish more than just appetites. Her heart raced as she walked toward the park. She approached the gathering of familiar faces, and the conversations buzzed with excitement. As she stood at the edge, nerves crept in. Although their spirits were high, she felt the weight of her own uncertainty. Did she belong here? But the moment her voice echoed across the crowd, rising above the others, a gust of courage rushed in. "Together we can share our stories and rise above, just like I did with Mr. Thompson." Suddenly, she wasn't just a cleaner, she was a leader of change. Maria's words ignited discussions, passionate and genuine, flowing from the hearts of those who had often felt unseen. The laughter that had once echoed in Mr. Thompson's living room now filled the park, mingling with fervent ideas and dreams. But amid the exhilaration of newfound connections, her mother's face surfaced in the back of her mind again. What would she say if she saw this? Would she see her daughter's journey not just as cleaning but also as healing? As the sun dipped low, casting long shadows, Maria looked around at the hopeful faces surrounding her. She felt a sense of belonging wash over her. Could this strong community help her mend the ties with her own past? But just as the meeting began to wind down, a familiar silhouette appeared at the edge of the park, the unmistakable figure of her mother, looking both nervous and hopeful. Heart pounding, Maria stood frozen as all eyes turned to the unexpected intruder. What would happen now? Would she confront her mother or walk away? The air crackled with tension as everyone waited to see what Maria would do next. Maria's heart raced like a wild drum in her chest, drowning out the chatter around her. The collective gaze of her community felt like a spotlight, illuminating the moment. Would she turn away? Walk right out of this scene, this vision of change she'd just crafted? Or would she take a step closer to the woman she hadn't spoken to in what felt like forever? Her mother's eyes wide and shimmering with emotions held Maria captive. In that split second, she recalled every story her mother had told her growing up, every lesson shared over dinner, every wrinkle of worry etched into her face during the tough times. Could she really push aside all that pain? "Mama," the word slipped out softly, reverberating through the murmurs. Instantly, the crowd fell into a hush, each person feeling the pivot in the air. Maria took a hesitant step forward, her breath catching in her throat. The way her mother stood there, fists clenched tightly at her sides, spoke volumes. Regret, maybe fear, and perhaps even pride danced across her features. "I'm sorry," Maria managed to say, her voice trembling but firm. "I didn't mean to hurt you. I want to be better for us, for the kids." Emotions swirled around her like the wind catching fallen leaves. Her mother's expression shifted, and for just a moment, it looked like she was searching for the right words, like they'd both been waiting for this moment to unfold. "What have you changed, Maria?" her mother asked, her voice shaking slightly but filled with a softness that eased the tension in the air. "You're not the little girl I used to know. You're so much more than that." Maria paused, using the silence as a moment to truly reflect. "I'm fighting," she said, her eyes steady. "Fighting for my dreams, for a life where my kids don't have to worry about who they can become." The murmurs in the crowd were a chorus of understanding and support. She felt the connectiveness in each look, each nod. This was the place where feeling alone transformed into solidarity. Just then, a voice broke through the brief stillness. "Talk to her, Maria." It was Mabel, a stalwart member of the community, her encouragement spilling over with enthusiasm. "We all want to hear you both." Maria turned back to her mother, encouraged by the warmth radiating from the crowd. This wasn't just her moment anymore, it was a shared moment of healing. With every word exchanged, the barriers between them began to soften. "I know I've made mistakes," her mother admitted, stepping into the openness with a raw honesty. "But I have always loved you, cherished you. I've just been afraid of losing you." Those words landed heavy yet comforting in Maria's heart. They were so much more than she had expected. Maybe they could rebuild something beautiful from what had been broken. As they continued to speak, the park felt alive with possibilities. But just as they embraced the gentle tenderness between them, Maria noticed a group of teenagers across the park, whispering and pointing at them. Her heart sank momentarily. Would they be judged? But then she remembered why she was here. This was a community ready to embrace each other's journeys. Her story was as valuable as anyone else's. As she refocused on her mother, resolve filled her once more. "Mama, we have so much to talk about, and I won't back down anymore. I want you to be part of my life, our lives," she declared. As they hugged tightly, a spark ignited within her. A shared understanding was being born. Would they be able to overcome the past and step into a brighter future together? Would they be brave enough to let the community witness their journey? In that moment, she saw endless possibilities in the faces around her. Could they all come together to heal not just their own wounds but those of the community? Maria's heart raced, pondering what the next steps could hold as they stood at the cusp of transformation. But as thoughts surged with excitement, the buzzing crowd began to dissipate. People turned to leave, casting fleeting glances back at the unfolding moment. Maria's mother took a deep breath. Stepping back slightly. "Let us go home, Maria. I want to hear more." And just like that, the weight of uncertainty loomed over them all over again. Would home feel like a safe space? Could forgiveness truly pave the way for healing? The path forward shimmered like a mirage. Maria grasped her mother's hand firmly, the promise of resilience shimmering in their palms. What awaited them behind closed doors? The ride home was a maze of solemn silence, each bump in the road punctuating the tension that hung heavy between Maria and her mother. The scent of fresh paint from the community center wafted through the open windows, a bittersweet reminder of the hope that had blossomed just moments ago. Maria's heart pounded as she struggled to find the right words, wishing she could bridge the distance that still felt so palpable. Her mother stared at the passing houses, the faded curtains and cracked sidewalks, stirring thoughts of their own past, the laughter, the fights, the dreams dashed and rekindled. Maria took a deep breath, letting the air fill her lungs as if it could also infuse her with courage. "Mama, can I ask you something?" "Of course, Mija," her mother replied softly, a hint of warmth in her voice. It felt like an invitation, a small step toward intimacy. "What do you dream about?" Maria posed the question gently, testing the waters of vulnerability. Her mother turned, surprise flickering in her eyes. "Dream?" she echoed, as if the word was foreign. "I didn't have room for dreams. Survival was the goal." It stung, her mother's admission. Maria felt the weight of those words, but more than that, she felt a dawning realization. Her mother had fought every day, not for dreams but for them. But if you could dream, what would it sound like? What would it be? For a heartbeat, the world outside the car faded into a blur, and Maria saw her mother's face unfold somewhere between fear and longing. "I always wanted to travel, see places I only read about. Paris, maybe. Or the beaches in California. Then let us plan it," Maria blurted, her excitement folding into the air between them. "Let us write down a list of places. We could do this together, start dreaming again." Her mother looked at her, the flicker of disbelief mingling with cautious hope. Together? Yes. Why not? You deserve it. It's not just about me and my dreams, it's about us. A hint of a smile danced across her mother's lips, but it was quickly followed by a shadow. And what if it's too late? It's never too late, Mama. Maria exclaimed. You taught me that. Every setback is just a setup for a comeback. Remember? A chuckle broke the tension. You've heard that one too many times, haven't you? Maybe, but it's true. We can take steps towards your dreams, one small moment at a time. As they pulled into their driveway, the weight of uncertainty shifted, replaced by a newfound understanding. They both got out of the car, and Maria reached for her mother's hand, feeling the warmth of connection ignite between them. Inside, the living room felt both familiar and foreign, a space that had held both laughter and pain. Maria led her mother to the worn sofa, and they sank into it together. Here, Maria said, pulling out a notepad and a pen. Let's list out dreams and plans. Nothing is silly. Her mother laughed lightly. Are you serious about this? Absolutely. Let's start small, just like we did with the community center. What if we create a vision board? Her mother's eyes sparkled with a mix of fear and excitement. A vision board? For dreams? Yeah. Pictures, notes, something to remind us to believe. As they started brainstorming, laughter began to bubble up among their memories, shared hopes blending with dreams, slowly weaving them back together. The atmosphere shimmered with hope, the walls of their past cracking open just enough to let light in. But just as they were getting lost in their aspirations, Maria's phone buzzed sharply on the coffee table. She glanced at the screen, a message from her friend, John. Hey, Maria. Did you hear about the protest happening downtown tomorrow? Maria paused, her heart racing again. This wasn't just an event, it could change everything. Would she go? Would she dare step into a bigger fight for her community, for her dreams? She exchanged a look with her mother, a complex mix of emotions swirling between them. Mama, I think something is happening. Something we might need to be a part of. Just like that, the slow moment of healing ignited into something much larger than either of them could have imagined. What if this was the moment of reckoning for both their dreams and their community's? Maria's heart raced as she felt the weight of her words settle in the space between her and her mother. The hint of urgency in the message loomed over them like a shadow, a call to action that could steer their newfound connection in a direction neither had anticipated. What kind of protest? Her mother asked, her brow furrowing slightly. It's about community support issues around the center, resources, things like that. It's happening right when we're starting to dream about more. Maria's voice trembled, a mix of fear and excitement. I think we could make a real difference. Her mother hesitated, eyes drifting to the vision board materials spread out on the coffee table. But Maria, what if we get involved, and it's all too much? There's never too much when it comes to fighting for our community. Maria reached for her mother's hand, squeezing it gently. We can do this together. It's part of our dream, isn't it? To stand up for what we believe in. And who knows? Maybe we'll inspire others to dream bigger, too. A flicker of determination sparked in her mother's eyes, and she took a deep breath. Okay. But only if we promise to take breaks and remember to dream in between the chaos. Maria grinned, her heart swelling with pride. Deal. Let's take it one step at a time. With a newfound energy, they dove into planning. Their laughter filled the living room, growing louder with each scribbled idea. Her mother's sketches of their dream destinations were outlined with vibrant colors, each one marking a piece of their shared future. As they created their vision board, each image and phrase felt like a rallying cry, of visual testament to the lives they wanted to lead. But a sudden heaviness fell over them when Maria's phone buzzed again. This time, it was a group chat update from friends at school. Hey everyone, are we going to the protest or what? Heard the community is really fired up. She read the message aloud, a nervous flutter dancing in her stomach. They're saying we need to show up, it feels important. Her mother looked at the cutting-edge sketches in front of them. What if people see me, or what if they say things? Let them, Maria replied, strength bolstering her. You fought so hard for our family. Now you get to use your voice for something bigger than just us. Her mother's gaze softened as she traced the outline of a small beach on the vision board. You're right. I can't be scared anymore, not if we're dreaming again. But how do we start? We start with showing up. Just like you taught me, we take the plunge into something new, Maria encouraged. And we do this together. The hours flew by as they continued to brainstorm their plans. Excitement built as the sun began to dip below the horizon, casting a warm glow through their living room. An evening filled with laughter shifted into a quiet moment, filled with the promise of tomorrow. Tomorrow could change everything, Maria whispered. Or it could just change us, her mother replied, her voice soft but steady. As the night closed in, they prepared for the protest, each of them considering the weight of their choices. They tucked away their dreams, blending them with the spirit of activism, ready to unite their community. But would they have the courage to transform those visions into reality? And deep down, Maria couldn't shake the thought, what if tomorrow revealed more hidden truths about their lives than they were prepared for? With the world outside waiting, they were about to find out just how much change lay ahead. Dawn broke, spilling golden light through Maria's bedroom window. Birds chirped a cheerful morning song, but her heart was heavy as she dressed for the day. She could hardly sleep, her mind swirling with thoughts about the protest and what awaited them. Would the community truly come together? Would her mother be okay? After breakfast, Maria found her mom sitting at the kitchen table, her fingers nervously tapping against the wood. Nervous? Maria asked, grinning as she joined her. Me? Never, her mother replied with a soft laugh, but her eyes told a different story. Remember, everything we've done has led us here, it's time to show up. Maria's voice was calm, even as her own heart raced. They left the house, a nervous energy swirling around them. As they approached the community center, the sounds of people buzzing with purpose filled the air. Groups of neighbors gathered, carrying signs and chatting passionately. A giant banner declaring, "Unity for our community," flapped gently in the wind, a beacon of hope that sparkled in Maria's eyes. Look at all these people, her mother said, awe and fear mingling in her voice. It feels like we're not alone after all. How could we be? Maria replied, stepping closer. See that? Everyone's ready to speak out. Look at their signs, this is what change looks like. They joined the crowd, hands intertwined as they walked towards the front. Maria had never felt more alive. The pulsing excitement of being part of something larger than herself wrapped around her like a warm hug. As the speakers took the stage, her mother stood tall and straight, inspired by the words cascading from the microphone. Together, we can do this, shouted one speaker, raising a fist that the crowd mimicked in unison. Intensity surged through the crowd, and Maria felt it in her bones. Mom, she whispered, excitement bubbling up. This is what we've dreamed about. This is our moment. With each speech that followed, Maria's determination strengthened. She could see her mother's spirit igniting, and it filled her with pure joy. But as the rally continued, something shifted in the air. Shadows seemed to creep into the light, forming in hushed conversations among the crowd. I heard some people don't support this, Maria's friend whispered as she arrived beside them, brows knitted in worry. Who cares what they think? Maria replied, trying to keep her voice steady. We're here for the community. The truth matters, and so do we. Just then, a loud commotion erupted from the far side of the crowd. Maria and her mother turned to see a group confrontationally waving their own signs. Angry shouts clashed with the organized chants for unity. Maria's heart dropped as she felt the charged atmosphere shift from hopeful to volatile. Stay close. Her mother urged, anxiety creeping into her tone. Maria's stomach twisted. What had they walked into? But a surge of courage rose within her. They had come for change, and she wouldn't back down now. As confrontations intensified, Maria squeezed her mother's hand tighter. Mom, we can't let this stop us. We need to stand strong. And then she spotted a familiar face in the opposing crowd. It was one of her old classmates. No, it couldn't be. Was he really part of this? Suddenly, everything felt personal. What would happen if the lines between friends blurred today? The atmosphere thickened with palpable tension as Maria faced a choice. Would she confront the truth behind the division? Or could they focus on their dreams of unity? With the protests spiraling around them, the ground felt unstable beneath her feet. Maria's breath quickened. In that moment, she understood, this was just the beginning of a journey that might change everything, or break them completely. But deep down, she knew whatever happened next could rewrite their stories forever. Would they find a way through the chaos? Or would it tear them apart? Maria's heart raced as she tried to process the crowd's growing tension. The chanting suddenly felt like thunder in her ears. It was supposed to be a day of hope, but now uncertainty draped over them like a heavy fog. She pulled her mother closer, determined to shield them both from the chaos. Stay behind me, Maria said, feeling more protective than ever. Her mother nodded, though her eyes darted nervously. Figures in the opposing crowd shouted louder, their faces taut with anger. Maria searched for her old classmate, her mind reeling. There he was, Jake, holding a sign that read, "Not in our neighborhood." Memories of friendly banter in the school halls crashed into the present. How could he have joined this side? Is that Jake? Maria whispered, a tremor in her voice. Her mother peered through the crowd. Oh my, why would he be here? Maria felt the weight of disbelief. Teenage friendship met with adult division. It stung more than she expected. People change, Maria, her mother replied gently. We can't let that change stop us. Maria's blood boiled as the shouts amplified, echoing off the walls of the community center. Was this really how they intended to protect their home? Angry voices battled against hopeful chants. Each wave of sound tugged at her heart, wavering her faith in unity. I can't just stand here. Maria yelled over the noise, adrenaline surging through her. She needed to confront this. Maria, wait. Her mother exclaimed, but Maria felt the spark of courage within her urging her forward. She squeezed through the throng, determination fueling her steps. She suddenly felt larger than life, fueled by the hope of what they were fighting for. As Maria approached Jake, she locked eyes with him. Time seemed to freeze. She wanted to call out to him, to remind him of all the dreams they used to have, how they believed they could change the world. But instead, all that came out was, Jake. What are you doing here? His expression hardened, but Maria could still see a flicker of recognition, of memories shared. Maria, this isn't what you think. You don't understand. He shouted back over the din. Then help me understand. The words slipped out before she could catch them. She sensed the crowd around them quiet down, sensing the confrontation. It's about protecting our homes. He shot back, frustration spilling over. Protecting against what? Maria demanded. The change we desperately need? You know this isn't right? A hush fell over them. Faces turned, curious about the clash. Maria felt the weight of the moment, raw emotions racing through her. Can't you see? Jake's voice softened, almost pleading. This is how some people feel safe. They think it's a threat. But we're here to build, she replied, desperation lacing her tone. You and I, we grew up here. We're fighting for the future. Jake opened his mouth to respond, but before he could, another shout erupted from behind the opposing crowd, drawing everyone's attention back to the chaos. In that brief moment, the divide loomed larger than ever between them. Sensing the urgency, Maria's mother took a step forward. "We need to stand united more than ever right now. Let us remind them why we're here." Maria glanced back at her mother, heart swelling with pride, then back at Jake, searching his face for any sign of understanding. Just as the clash threatened to escalate, Maria took a breath. "We don't have to agree, but we can't let this tear us apart. There's so much at stake." With each passing second, she realized the magnitude of the choice laid out before them. Could they bridge the divide? Could this conversation create a pathway forward? With the roar of emotions swirling around her, Maria grasped the chance to speak up. "Together, we can find a way," she urged, her voice passionate and strong. But as she stared into Jake's conflicted eyes, she grappled with the uncertainty. Was it really possible? Let us build something better. Together. And deep down, she sensed that whether they succeeded or faltered would define their community forever. What would Jake choose? Would they come together? In spite of their differences, or would the rift only deepen? The air pulsed with tension and anticipation, setting the stage for what would come next. Maria could only hope that her voice would echo beyond this chaotic moment, but was she ready for the real challenges ahead? Maria's heart raced as she watched Jake carefully gauge his surroundings, his face shifting between anger and confusion. She could feel the crowd's energy shift, eyes now pinned on their confrontation. This wasn't just about them, it was about the future of their community, a delicate thread that could unravel at a moment's notice. "Jake," she said softly, trying to break through the noise that clouded judgment. "Remember when we used to talk about changing the world? What happened to that?" For a fleeting second, the hardness in his gaze softened. His grip on the sign faltered as memories flickered through his mind, a brief glimpse of the boy she once knew. But the walls he built around himself were strong, fortified with fear and doubt. "You don't get it, Maria. This isn't just about change. It's about what we're willing to lose." "And what is that?" "Your values. The people you fear." Maria pressed, the urgency in her voice rising over the shouts from the opposing crowd. "We're not a threat, Jake. We're part of this community too." As if on cue, more voices erupted nearby, and the tension thickened, closing in around them like a tightening vice. Jake's gaze flicked past her, anxiety rippling through him. "They want to listen," he said, his voice dropping. "They don't want to hear you. All they hear is what they fear." In that moment, Maria recognized the weight of misconceptions, how tightly they clung to ignorance. "What if you and I can show them?" she asked, her heart pounding with hope. "What if we can be the bridge?" Suddenly, a cry rang out from behind them, a scuffle breaking loose in the crowd. Maria's stomach dropped as she turned to see a man fall, creating a ripple of chaos. Instinctively, she held her breath, heart pounding louder than the cries echoing through the space. "Where's your mother?" Jake shouted, searching the crowd for any signs of safety. "Don't worry about her. We need to do something." Maria felt the urge to leap into the fray, her protective instincts kicking in, but she knew they needed to be smart. "Together," she reiterated, gripping his arm tightly. "If we don't show strength they'll only see division." Jake stared at their joined hands, confused yet captivated by her determination. He hesitated, shifting between what he felt and what he believed. "What do we do? Let us stand together and share our hopes, our dreams." Her voice was a beacon, clear and vibrant against the noise. "If we can bring even just a few people to see what we're trying to build." The air felt electric, the crowd quaking beneath the sheer magnitude of their unfolding drama. The shouts grew louder again, but this time Maria didn't shy away. Instead, she faced Jake, searching his eyes for a flicker of agreement. "Will you help me?" she asked, vulnerability coloring her tone. "We can't give in to the fear. We have to unite against it." He looked around, uncertainty battling against the heaviness in his chest. After a heartbeat, he met her gaze, more fiercely now. Yeah. Okay. I'm in. Just then, another round of shouts erupted, drowning out their moment of resolution. Tension flared anew, and Maria's heart raced. This was the moment they needed to transform chaos into clarity. "We'll show what together looks like," she declared, raising her voice fiercely as she turned back to the crowd. "We will stand for hope, for change, and for our future." And as both sides began to shift, torn between curiosity and fear, Maria felt the spark of something big, a movement that could sway hearts if they led with love, resilience, and unity. But in that charged moment, a loud crash echoed through the gathering, sending a jolt through everyone present. Maria's heart dropped. What now? Her hopes fluttered wildly, uncertainty clawing at her insides. Had they unleashed tension, or could this be the catalyst they needed? As the crowd reacted, she wondered, was their leap into unity enough to bridge the divide, or had they opened a door to chaos none of them could control? The crash echoed like thunder, reverberating through the air and sending shockwaves of panic through the crowd. People began to shout, some pushing back, others rushing forward, caught in the tug-of-war of confusion and fear. For a split second, time slowed for Maria as she scanned the chaos, searching for a way to make sense of what was happening. "Jake!" she called out, her voice barely breaking through the cacophony. "We need to stay focused, don't let them scatter." He nodded, still holding her hand tightly, though his knuckles were white from the grip. "What do we do?" Panic streaked across his face, but Maria could see the gears turning in his mind, a flicker of their childhood idealism resurfacing momentarily. "Let's raise our voices together," she shouted, drawing on every ounce of conviction inside her. "We need to show them we're not afraid. This is our chance." With resolute clarity, she stepped forward, pulling Jake with her. They moved toward the center of the crowd, where the noise was loudest, where tension crackled like static electricity in the air. "Everyone, listen!" she cried, her voice rising above the chaos. Some faces turned toward them, but others remained entrenched in their own fear-fueled storms. "We're all here because we care about our home, our future. You are not alone." Jake took a breath and felt the embers of his anger simmer down as he tried to channel Maria's energy. "We're stronger together. We can turn this fear into action." Together, they stood shoulder to shoulder, two determined figures against a tide of uncertainty. Slowly, murmurs arose from the crowd, some people beginning to shift their stances, faces softening. Hope began to flicker like a candle fighting against the wind. But just when it seemed they were gaining ground, a shout erupted from the other side, an aggressive voice slicing through the moment. "What are you trying to do? They don't belong here." The remark stung like a slap, and the crowd tensed again, the energy thickening. Maria's heart sunk, but she refused to let despair take hold. "This isn't about belonging. It's about understanding," she implored, her chest tightening. "Our community can thrive when we embrace us all. No one should feel like they have to choose between their identity and their home." Jake turned, desperation tugging at him. "We can listen to each other, work through our fears. Fear has held us back for too long. Let's take this moment and make it mean something." With each word, the air shifted. More voices joined Maria and Jake's, calling for unity, compassion, and understanding. Yet, just as hope began to spark, a group surged forward from the opposing side, shoving and shouting, drowning out the harmony they started to build. Tension erupted, fists began to fly, and fear morphed into raw aggression. "Maria, we need to get out of here," Jake shouted, his eyes wide with alarm as he pulled her back. But she couldn't leave now, not after reaching this tipping point. "No. We can't back down. We need to show them we're willing to fight for change." As the chaos escalated, Maria's world became a whirlwind of fear and resilience. Would they be able to stand strong? Could they truly be the change they longed for, or would this moment of unity dissolve into mayhem? The atmosphere was charged, and Maria felt every heartbeat echoing the stakes at hand. It was now or never, and she refused to let them fade into the shadows. As she stood firm, emotions battling within her, a surprising voice rang out from the crowd, steady and clear, cutting through the noise like a beacon. In that instant, every eye turned towards the newcomer, and Maria's heart raced anew. What would this voice say? Would it support them, or further inflame the chaos? The crowd hushed, tension hanging thick in the air like a storm cloud. A tall woman stepped forward, her posture strong, radiating a sense of authority rather than aggression. It was Ms. Resnick, the old-school principal known for her no-nonsense approach and nurturing spirit. Maria felt a flicker of hope. "Everyone, listen to me." Ms. Resnick's voice boomed, calming the commotion. "This isn't who we are. We don't thrive on division, we flourish through understanding. Let us remember our roots, where we came from, and what we stand for. Maria and Jake are right." Maria's heart soared. If anyone could guide the crowd back to a place of unity, it was her. "We all belong." Ms. Resnick continued, radiating warmth and strength. "We came together today because we care about our community and our future. Let us not allow fear to drive us apart." Behind her, more familiar faces emerged, stepping up one by one to echo her sentiments. The gardener who tended the park, the shop owner from the corner store, the children who played together in the neighborhood, all voices united, reclaiming the narrative. Feeling emboldened, Maria stepped forward again, joining Ms. Resnick. "We've all fought hard for something. My mom has dedicated her life to making things better for our family, and that's what we all want. Better lives, better homes." Her mother, who had held tight to Maria's side in that moment of fear, now felt the urgency of change. "We cannot let our pain build walls between us," she called out, shaking off the last of her hesitation. "Let us use what we feel to create something beautiful." As each word left her mouth, the crowd began to breathe again, faces softening and hands lowering. The hostility that had once rattled through the assembly was pulsing now instead with a tinge of hope. Jake stood by Maria, emboldened by the shared voices around him. "It's time we stop labeling each other and start listening," he said, the boyhood anger melting away. "Building walls won't protect us, together, we will create something stronger." A few cheers erupted from the crowd, a wave of energy gathering momentum. The moment felt reset, like a community coming together once more. Together, they'd stand on the cusp of something profound. "I dream of a neighborhood where my kids can grow up, not feeling like outsiders, but as part of something bigger than ourselves. Isn't that what we want for all our children?" Maria looked directly into the eyes of those around her, searching for connection. A murmuring agreement spread through the gathering. People began nodding, tears glistening as they recognized a common ground beneath the fractures. Even the opposing side, with their defensive signs lowered, started to listen. Eyes softened in realization. "Let us not lose sight of our humanity," Ms. Resnick urged. "It's vital that we reach out to one another. From disruption, let us grow compassion." With that, Maria felt the surge of change ripple through the crowd, hope igniting into action. As the chaotic bubble began to break, it felt like the sharpness of the world melted into serenity. In that moment of clarity, Maria took a deep breath. "Join me. Let us stand together and open a space for dialogue." Her voice rang out, and green shoots of determination blossomed across the faces around her. An older gentleman stepped forward, his hands wrinkled but steady. "I'm ready," he said, his voice firm yet gentle. "Let us discuss how we can support each other, regardless of our differences." And suddenly, people began to approach one another, breaking the invisible barriers that had held them apart. Questions mingled with laughter, hands reached across divides, and the fear that once swirled in the air transformed into shared stories and empathy. The crowd buzzed with life, and Maria felt that it was happening. She looked at Jake, gratitude swelling in her heart. "Thank you," she said under her breath. He nodded, his own hope rekindling. This is just the beginning, Maria. We did it together. And together they would continue, hand in hand, weaving new narratives, nurturing dreams, and mending hearts of those around them. As people started to disperse, exchanging contact details, rallying for the next meeting, Maria felt tears hover in her eyes. This was a victory far sweeter than any she could have imagined. In healing, her heart surged with pride and joy. Her mother wrapped a steadying arm around her shoulder, whispering words filled with emotion. "I'm so proud of you, Mija," she said, voice trembling. "You have a strength I always knew you had, and now you share it with the world." As they walked home, no longer feeling the weight of uncertainty, but rather a shared ambition, Maria realized that their journey was only beginning. They were not just looking to change their own story but stepping into a collective fortitude destined to reshape their community. With dreams unfolding and fresh foundations built from compassion and understanding, Maria welcomed the future confident, and ready to face it together, no longer invisible. Today marked not just a protest, but a promise to elevate their voices and stand united, hand in hand, forging a brighter path ahead with others who believed, just like she did, in the power of unity. Now, let us take action. You need to subscribe now for more inspiring stories just like this. This is the moment to show your support for our journey together. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and share your feelings about this incredible transformation in the comments below. Don't wait not even one more second. Share this video instantly with at least 5 friends who need to be part of this profound change. Your support makes a difference. Let us build a community that thrives.